Everybody, it's Mitch from We in Tennessee. And yes, you read the title right. It is 4 reasons why I know you can make the move. Now, I didn't want to say Tennessee because some of you might be moving to somewhere else. But if you were like me, I was like, how can I make this move after living in one place for 52 years? I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. I've been in the same place for so long. So for those of you that are in the same boat, 4 reasons why I know you can make the move. Now, I don't want to, trump God on this one and say, hey, it needs to be now. It's just whenever, you decide to make that move, I know that you can. For those of you that say, but I've been in the same place for so long. Here we go. Number one, I call this the you've adapted enough already. In our lives, there's so many things that we have to adapt to. I have changed so many job locations where I have to adapt to something new. And so my brain has already, you know, decided, hey, okay, if I'm going to change locations, I got to, meet new people, I got to have different responsibilities. And so I know it's not necessarily on the same scale as moving, wherever you might move to, but it's the same process of your brain going, hey, I've made this change, or life has thrown me a change. Now I have to adapt to it. You'll adapt to making a move no matter how long you've been in the same place. And so I can make the list go on. We've adapted to technology. Remember when we didn't have the internet? Well, yeah, I'm aging myself, but you know, we've adapted to different things like job locations, like the internet. So many things that we were familiar and now things have changed and we just adapt. We just go, okay, we're going to have to learn something new. And so, as far as you moving to a different location, you're going to have to learn the streets like I have. You're going to have to learn, hey, where are the best places to shop? Where's my job going to be? How do I get there? So there's so many things that you've adapted to, and moving is just going to make the list bigger, but still manageable. So I know that if I can do it, and I know this is a cliche, but anybody can, as long as you're just forced to make those changes. Coming from California to Tennessee, I was like, okay, I have to adapt to the culture. I have to adapt to the expectations of people. I have to adapt to finding a new job, finding a new house. Where's that going to be? And so I had to just take each day the adaptations just as they came to me. Okay, I'm going to have to look up how to get to this location with my Google Maps. I hate having to do that. And so I had to learn just how to get there on my own so I didn't have to use Google Maps anymore. So it's something that you can figure out. It's just going through it. That's going to be, you know, that's the journey that we take. Okay. Number two reason how I know you can make the move is it's the fear is not the move itself. The fear is in the imagination of having to make that move. All of the things that I just said, like, how am I going to do that? Because all of these fears come at once: job, the house or housing, friends, family. How do we get all our stuff over there? There's so many things that your brain is being overloaded with when you just have to go, I'm just going to start at square one and take it from there. So a lot of people, they don't make that jump because all of those thoughts and fears overwhelm them when they should just take it one at a time. Okay, let me start doing my research. And once you start doing your research and finding out, hey, this is not as intimidating, as it sounded, I can handle this. And so once you conquer one thing, then you can conquer the next. And so for me, we had to just figure out, okay, where are we going to live? And actually, I had to find out where I was going to work first because it would kind of be silly to figure out where are we going to live and then, figure out, okay, where's that job going to be? The job was more important, and I had to figure out, okay, let's get the job first and then figure out where we're going to live. But those of you that might be already in the retirement age don't necessarily have that problem. So number two, recapping that, is once you can get over the fear of moving in your mind, things start to develop. You start to get that ball rolling, that whole momentum thing, And once you get moving, it's not as intimidating as it would sound. Okay, the next thing is home. And you might say, well, Mitch, we've been in the same home for 50 years, 40 years, however many years it's been. And I'm just here to encourage you. When you think about it, if you've ever made that move, home is not necessarily what you might think it is. It's about the people and routines that, make up what that home is. It's about family. And if those things are going with you, then home is wherever you decide that's going to be. And so many times we can just be stuck, and this is kind of what is going to lead into the fourth thing. We can get stuck in that familiarity where we're just so familiar with everything of where we've been that we don't want to step out and go, well, let me embrace what might be something new over that horizon. We become obsessed with that familiarity and too comforting in that zone of, I know everything, I feel safe. But sometimes safe is not necessarily where we should be, as far as just, well, I know everything and everything's in its proper spot. Sometimes we grow better if we're transplanted somewhere else. And I will tell you from my experience, we never regret a single second coming from California here to Tennessee. We love it. Every experience that we've learned is just something that has made us grow. And we can actually look back and go, you know what? We would not have been able to, reflect on that and think how strong we are unless we had made that push, unless we were forced to make these adaptations. So I'm just encouraging you guys that home is where you make it, and it's what you make out of it with your family, with, your friends, with the new places. But you can bring those things, if you have, my students will bring a stuffy to school. And I don't get on their case about it. I say, as long as it doesn't distract. But why do those kids bring that stuffy to school? Because it makes them feel like, hey, I'm bringing a little bit of home to school. It makes me feel, like I'm in control of something. I have something to remind me that home can be wherever I go. And that would be the same thing with you. If you're bringing some mementos over, that's where home is, if you guys know what I mean. Okay, got my notes here. And the last one, number 4, it would be familiarity is not always going to be where we grow. And I wrote so many like phrases down. We do our best growing when we're learning, when we're in a new environment. In fact, I did some research because of my dad being, having forgetfulness, and it kind of stems from just the same repetitive things. Our brains were meant to grow and experience new things. I made it a point this summer to find at least 3 or 4 different ways to get to my work or to get home, just so my brain can thrive and grow and go, wow, I never knew this path existed. And it's the same thing. We felt like we were not going to grow if we just stayed in one place. And, I'm not trying to get on anybody's case who stays in the same place forever, because maybe that's what they were supposed to do. But if you guys feel a calling to move, that's where the growing takes place, when you can actually leave and go somewhere else and go, we can do this. We learn so much about ourselves. We learn what we're capable of. And that can't happen unless we take that step and say, I'm going to go for this. Let's see what happens. A lot of times that fear can hold us back. And there's so many stories of people that I hear regretting that they didn't make a move somewhere and then just stayed stuck where they were. Now, again, if that word stuck offends people, that only depends if you really do feel like, oh, I'm just not thriving here. I just feel like I should be somewhere else. And then they never make that move, I would consider that stuck. But if you can feel like, wow, I just want to branch out, I want to learn something new, I want to go someplace new, that's when I would embrace the change, embrace the growth, and embrace the fact that you stepped out and you made a move. And, it's not always a bad thing if something doesn't work out, because, you know, nothing is going to be permanent. And you can always feel like, hey, if something doesn't work out, why didn't it work out? And what can I learn from it? So I am just, again, completely 100% regret free that we moved here to Tennessee. We've learned so many things. We've embraced so many parts of the culture. Um, and that's just a whole part of the move. We just feel like God directed us here. He just threw open the doors and said, I'm going to bless you because you were faithful. And we felt it was him calling us to move. And we've met some wonderful friends, family, um, that I consider family just because they would do anything for me. Beautiful neighbors. um, that's just you know icing on the cake as far as making these adaptations, realizing that we were stronger than what we thought we could do. We proved that you can live somewhere for 50 years and make a move and learn a lot of new things over again. um, Thrive where you get transplanted to. And we just, again, cannot be happier being here in Tennessee. Now, will we be here forever? I don't know. God has that plan. But if it were up to me, I love this place. I love the beauty. I love the people. I love the environment of where we are. But, you know, God has the pen and he's writing our future right now. So we just want to leave that up to him. But if, again, taking all of these things, I know there's a lot of you that are in this ground where you're like, Mitch, we want to move. We just feel like, we can't. We've been at this place for so long. And I get it. If you can think about plants or trees, if they're so long, the roots are just, they're so hard to get out. I get that. It's the smaller plants that you can just, pop it out and it's really easy. But once you can get over the fact that we can grow, we can learn, we can do new things. That and then you have a mindset like, we have to do this, we have to make the move, and we have to make all these adaptations. Do your research. You are going to learn that you are stronger and capable of these adaptations way more than you thought you could. So I hope I didn't babble on too long about this. I appreciate you guys. Throw it down in the comments section. Anything you would like to add to this list of why people can make this move after being in the same place for a long time. You can throw down your journey of moving. How long were you at one place? Where did you come from? Where did you go? And anything that you learned from this journey. Did you have any regrets? Do you look back and have zero regrets? I love reading all your posts. I read everyone, so definitely throw it down so we can all learn from it and just become wiser and better for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys every week watching. I will see you in my next video.